good morning. Welcome back to Breakfast Television. This is Will Week in Manitoba. It's your chance to get free legal advice on what it takes to make or update your will. And here with what you can learn this week, we've brought in a lawyer who specializes in this kind of thing. We got Fabbry joining us. Mr. Fabbry, let's talk about who needs a will. Most of us assume we're too young to think about something like that.
Well, that's an easy question to answer because in reality, everyone should have a will. In looking at it this way, the moment you acquire property, at some point in time, that property has to be disposed of, because the secret to this answer is really the fact that at the end of the day, we can't take it with us.
No.
So ultimately, what we acquire during our lifetime has to be disposed of. And the advantage of a will is that gives us that opportunity to set out in advance an orderly disposition.
It's going to go somewhere. What happens if I don't have a plan for those assets?
Well, that's a good question as well, because many people think, well, if I don't have a will, what's going to happen? Well, at the end of the day, we're going to deal with your assets with a will or without. If you don't have a will, there's a statute in Manitoba, it's called the Intestate Succession Act, and it sets out an outline or a schedule of steps that would be followed in terms of the ultimate disposition of your assets. So at the end of the day, whether you make a will or not, we're still going to distribute your assets.
It's going to go somewhere, and
Right.
It may not go to the people that I hold dear.
Exactly.
Okay, so what kind of, sorry.
Yeah, because the difference between making a will and not making a will is by making a will, you decide and you dictate and you direct where your assets are going to go. Without the will, someone else is going to make that decision.
So what things should be in my will? Obviously the big things, my home and things like that, and
Right.
real material value.
Right.
What are some of the things people miss?
Well, for example, with younger couples, things that we think should be included is, for example, if you have children that are under age 18,
Right.
we would strongly encourage you to include a guardianship provision. Secondly, we want to make sure that you address the question of an executor, both a primary and an alternate. So that's the person that's going to be in charge of administering and managing the estate itself. And thirdly, there may be reasons for putting in some protective trusts. In other words, if you've got younger children or you have children that are under some form of disability, then you may want to have some trust provisions that protect them for a longer period of time.
Let's talk about the benefits of a will when it comes to things beyond the material. You were saying earlier there's a big benefit for cutting down on the strife and the tension and some of the hassles when someone in our family passes away.
Exactly. Well, part of what the will permits you to do is to set out your intention. What are your wishes? What are your directions? So by having that opportunity to set that out, what you're really doing is taking away interpretation. You're taking away argument, because if you don't set that out, then it's left open for family members, beneficiaries, close friends to interpret. Well, he meant or she meant, what did they really mean?
And we've all heard those stories of when
Right.
things just get ugly.
Exactly.
A family has enough to deal with when someone passes. Having to argue over who gets the china hutch
Right.
is something they just don't need. Well, it's a fascinating time, and I know you've got lots of seminars and lots of discussions coming up with Will Week in Manitoba this week. We've already put all the links on breakfasttelevision.ca for all that information, and if you have any more questions, you'll find them all on our website, breakfasttelevision.ca. Going to take a break, still plenty to come on BT.